Now, from the day I met my wife to the day I got married, there were 2,690 days in between. Yes, an entire 7 years went by from when we met to when we got married. Now, given we did have a little pandemic thing that happened, causing us to push our wedding back by a few years, but even still, it wasn't instantaneous. And the point of me telling you that is sometimes a guy is deeply invested, but marriage isn't quite on the radar yet. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 signs that he is deeply invested in you, but needs a little bit of time before marriage. Keep watching. Hey there, my name is Adam LaDolce. I'm the founder of Love Strategies, where we help successful single women get out there and attract love and do it with a proven strategy. And as an executive love coach, we've been helping thousands of women get married to their soulmate. So I get it. Many of our clients do want to get married, and I welcome that. But the last thing we want to do when we're dating is to pressure anyone, man or woman, to jump into marriage when they're not ready. So before you go ahead and drop some type of ultimatum, or before you just dump him because you think he's never going to get married, look for these 5 signs and you'll be able to get your answer. The first one is that he uses more of the we and us pronouns when he's talking about the relationship. This basically shows you that he's thinking in terms of the couple, the unit, rather than like you or I, which is keeping you separate. There's a lot of really interesting research out there that calls this cognitive interdependence. Basically, you no longer think of yourself as separate from the relationship. Your sense of self is kind of wrapped up in the relationship. Your identities start to combine into one another. And you can actually see this in how people talk or even write about their relationship. Researchers would ask participants to describe the relationship, and it wasn't what they said about the relationship that mattered, but the pronouns they used to talk about it. When someone says, "I'm really happy," that sounds good, but it separates the person from the relationship, which means it's a low interdependence. Instead, if you're saying, "We're really happy," it puts both people in it together, and this is a great sign moving forward. The second sign that he's deeply invested in the relationship is that he talks about the far-off future in very concrete and specific ways. This is not in some like vague, someday kind of way, but like next March or next April, we should really visit Washington, D.C. and see the cherry blossoms. A man will never make concrete plans in the future unless he is deeply invested in making sure those plans happen. When you're with a guy who's non-committal, he's flaky, he's not really sure if this is going to be the right thing, he'll be like, yeah, maybe we'll see the cherry blossoms at some time in the future. He'll kind of put it off. He's not going to make any type of plans until it's coming up in like 2 weeks. That's where we really want to have a hard look at whether or not this is a real fit. The third sign that he is deeply invested in the relationship is that he's going to tell you very sweet, emotional things that are truly close to his heart. He might talk about his aging parents. He might talk about his children. He might talk about some of the really difficult things he's experienced in his life that really are hard for him to talk about, requires a lot of vulnerability. And when a guy is sharing things about himself that is imperfect or is not the most pretty part of his life, is not the most beautiful part of his life, that's actually where the most incredible intimacy begins. That's where the true connection happens in a relationship. So if he trusts you enough to truly open his heart to you, that's where you want to be thinking to yourself, wow, this man is deeply invested in me and he really trusts me. The fourth thing is that he remembers the really important things about you and the relationship. This is the guy who's able to recall all the specific details about you, what you really like, what you dislike, your quirks, your interests and all, or even the stories that you shared. He really dives into those stories. He cares about the details. He wants to get to know the unique human being that is you, and he wants to really understand you, emotions and all. He knows your favorite drink. He knows how you take your coffee. He knows that you like almond milk in it, and you like a little bit of sugar, maybe if it's a Sunday, because, it's Sunday, live a little. This is an amazing sign because it shows that he's emotionally invested. We remember things when we have an emotional connection to those things. If he's not emotionally connected to it, he's not going to care about these things. So notice when he takes notice, and that gives you a great idea as to whether or not he's truly emotionally invested in this. And finally, the fifth sign that he's deeply invested in you, but might not be ready for marriage today, but might be in the future. He, generally speaking, he has a positive association with marriage. Like, this one's an easier one to talk about what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid guys who are like, I'm never getting married again. Marriage is just a chain wrapped around your neck. It's not something I'm really interested in. Never again. That guy, if you want to get married, run for the hills. But if generally speaking, he's like, yeah, marriage sounds amazing, or like, I would definitely be open to getting remarried, or I really cherish the idea of marriage and being with a person for the rest of my life, that is, of course, a good sign. And look at the way he talks about marriage in the future, because you can get a lot of really good information about just his general associations with the idea of it. So if you're dating a guy right now and you're not sure about commitment or if he's the right guy for you, then I have a very special gift for you. Head on over to hecommits.com and I have a special training that's going to walk you through how to reclaim your power in the relationship and get the commitment you want from that guy, or how to move on and say next and find a guy who's on the same page as you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you beautiful ladies next week. All right. Bye-bye.